The ancient Sanskrit texts speak of flying machines, not as myths or poetic allegories, but as tangible, mechanical constructs. Vimanas, the chariots of the gods, are not simple skyward vehicles. They are described in terrifying detail, as if their creators knew exactly how they worked. Some shone like the sun, others roared like thunder, and some unleashed firestorms that reduced entire cities to ash. This is not a mere metaphor. The Mahabharata, one of the oldest epics known to mankind, recounts battles fought with weapons that seem eerily modern. It speaks of blinding flashes, scorching winds, and metal crafts darting through the sky at impossible speeds. Descriptions of warfare include arrows that roar and explode, columns of fire rising like a second sun, and a single projectile capable of destroying entire legions. The parallels to modern warfare are unsettling. Even more disturbing is the Vaimanika Shastra, a Sanskrit text that emerged in the early 20th century, claiming to be an ancient manuscript detailing the science of Vimanas. It speaks of propulsion systems, anti-gravity mechanisms, and advanced materials unknown to us even today. Some dismiss it as a hoax, but others whisper a more terrifying possibility. What if it was rediscovered knowledge rather than fiction? The texts do not depict a peaceful, godlike civilization. Instead, they tell of a world gripped by cosmic warfare. Kingdoms waged battles in the sky, deities clashed in the heavens, and entire civilizations vanished in the wake of devastating weapons. The Mahabharata describes a moment where the sky burned like 10,000 suns, a statement eerily reminiscent of descriptions given by those who witnessed nuclear explosions. If these texts are purely mythical, why do their descriptions of destruction so closely resemble what we now understand as nuclear devastation? There is a passage in the Ramayana that describes a Vimana controlled by King Ravana. It did not simply fly, it moved between worlds. It was powered by an energy source so great that it could be weaponized. The gods, it is said, feared the power of the Vimanas and waged war to seize control of them. Was this just another mythological battle, or was it something else? A forgotten war, erased from history. A war fought not with swords and arrows, but with weapons capable of burning civilizations from the skies. And perhaps the most terrifying thought of all, what if the remnants of that war still exist, buried beneath the sands of time, waiting to be uncovered? Across the ancient world, civilizations that had no known contact with each other shared a disturbing theme. Flying machines piloted by gods, celestial chariots waging war in the sky, and cataclysmic weapons beyond human comprehension. The more one looks into these stories, the more they seem less like myths and more like fragmented pieces of a forgotten truth. Could it be that the Vimanas of Hindu mythology were just one name for a global phenomenon? Or worse, what if these accounts were not separate at all, but instead memories of a single, terrible reality that once gripped the entire world? Long before Hindu civilization recorded the tales of Vimanas, another culture also spoke of celestial vehicles, the Sumerians. Their myths described their gods, the Anunnaki, as beings who descended from the sky in shining chariots, wielding incomprehensible power. The word Anunnaki itself means those who came from heaven to earth. The Sumerians depicted their gods traveling in elaborate flying machines, ruling from the heavens and dictating the fate of mankind. In multiple cuneiform texts, they describe fiery boats that could cross the sky in an instant, just like the Vimanas. Even more chilling are references to weapons that could level mountains, capable of leaving nothing but ashes in their wake. One particular Sumerian artifact, the stele of Hammurabi, shows Shamash, the sun god, seated within a craft, rays of energy bursting outward from him. Another artifact, known as the votive relief of Unanche, depicts figures standing in a mechanical-looking structure that some researchers claim resembles a control panel. Could these have been merely religious symbols, or were they attempts to depict real technology beyond their understanding? And if the Sumerians were just documenting something they had witnessed, then the timeline of human history has been catastrophically misunderstood. Thousands of miles away, in the land of the pyramids, another story is told. Ancient Egyptian texts refer to flying boats that carried their gods across the sky, much like the Vimanas of Hindu mythology. The temple of Seti in Abydos contains carvings that appear eerily similar to modern helicopters, airplanes, and even submarines. While some scholars dismiss this as a coincidence, others argue that the resemblance is far too precise to ignore. The pyramid texts, one of the oldest known religious writings, describe how the gods traveled on iron boats that could move without wind or oars, eerily mirroring the self-propelled Vimanas of Hindu lore. The god Ra was said to travel in a celestial boat, the Manjet, which glowed with the brilliance of the sun and allowed him to ascend into the heavens. But why would an all-powerful god need a vehicle at all? Unless, of course, this boat was something else entirely. Some fringe researchers suggest that Egypt's pharaohs, often considered gods themselves, may have inherited forgotten knowledge of this technology. After all, the pyramids themselves remain an enigma, seemingly beyond the construction capabilities of their time. Did the ancient Egyptians know something that modern archaeology refuses to acknowledge? In the dense jungles of South America, thousands of miles away from both Egypt and India, another eerie discovery was made. The Tolima gold artifacts, dating back over 1,000 years, are tiny golden figurines that bear an unsettling resemblance to modern fighter jets. The artifacts have swept-back wings, vertical stabilizers, and aerodynamic fuselages, features that have no place in the natural world. Unlike birds or insects, which were commonly depicted in other artifacts, these objects appear engineered rather than organic. Some researchers and aviation experts have even built scale models of the Tolima artifacts, and astonishingly, they fly when fitted with proper propulsion. How could an ancient civilization, without any known knowledge of aerodynamics, have created such precise figures? Were they depictions of something they had seen, rather than something they had imagined? Could these artifacts be remnants of a time when Vimanas, or something similar, existed not just in India, but all over the world? It is easy to dismiss one myth, even two or three, but when nearly every ancient civilization, spanning continents and separated by thousands of years, describes flying machines, celestial chariots, and skyborne wars, the probability of coincidence begins to collapse. The Hindu Vimanas, self-propelled flying chariots with advanced weaponry, the Sumerian Anunnaki, skycraft, divine vehicles that could move between worlds, the Egyptian solar boats, celestial vessels that defied gravity, the Tolima jets, crafted artifacts that matched modern aerodynamics. Why do they all share these elements? Is it possible that these myths are corrupted memories of an ancient, forgotten truth? That civilizations far older than we acknowledge once mastered flight, wielded devastating weapons, and fought wars in the skies? And if so, what happened to them? Were they destroyed? Did they destroy themselves? Or worse, were they erased by something else? If such knowledge existed once, then it is either lost or deliberately hidden. And if humanity has already discovered the secrets of Vimanas before, who is ensuring that we do not discover them again? There is a reason why these myths still haunt us. Something about them feels too real to be fiction. If ancient civilizations had such technology, then it means human history is far older and far more advanced than we are led to believe. But there is one final, disturbing thought to consider. If Vimanas and their equivalents existed once before, then where are they now? Are they buried beneath ruins, hidden in vaults, or perhaps still flying? Maybe, just maybe, they never truly disappeared. And if they return, will we even recognize them? The ancient world whispers of Vimanas, flying chariots of the gods, capable of impossible speeds and devastating power. Their descriptions haunt the texts of civilizations that should never have known each other. But myths do not build themselves out of nothing. If Vimanas were real, if they were more than just poetic exaggerations, then the next question is even more terrifying. Has humanity already begun to rediscover them? And if so, has someone been keeping this knowledge buried until now? For decades, scientists, engineers, and even military agencies have quietly investigated the ancient descriptions of Vimanas. While mainstream academia dismisses them as legend, certain classified projects suggest a much deeper and darker fascination. NASA's secret study of ancient texts. In the early 1970s, a group of Indian scientists allegedly presented a controversial theory. Some of the descriptions in Vaimanika Shastra closely resembled modern aerodynamics and propulsion concepts. The text describes vehicles powered by mercury vortices, a strange claim, yet eerily similar to modern plasma propulsion theories. It details anti-gravity principles, including descriptions of how Vimanas repelled Earth's gravity through spinning gyroscopic forces, a technology that is currently being studied in black-budget military projects. Some passages hint at invisibility mechanisms and a means of shifting dimensions. These are not primitive ideas. They align with cutting-edge quantum mechanics and stealth technology. NASA scientists never publicly confirmed working on these concepts, but rumors persist. Could the world's top space agencies be drawing inspiration from forgotten texts, ones they do not wish the public to take seriously? In 2010, something strange happened. Reports surfaced about a mysterious flying object discovered in an Afghan cave, allegedly resembling a Vimana. Several US military personnel were reportedly involved, and then silence. The story vanished. Coincidence? Perhaps. But the United States has been pouring billions into anti-gravity and exotic propulsion research for decades. The TR-3B Black Manta, a rumored anti-gravity craft developed in secret, is said to operate using a plasma-filled mercury ring, a concept disturbingly close to the ancient descriptions of Vimana power systems. The Biefeld-Brown effect, a little-known physics principle, suggests that high-voltage electric fields can reduce gravitational pull, a technology that could explain how Vimanas floated and moved effortlessly through the sky. The Pentagon's Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, AATIP, secretly studied UFOs and their propulsion systems for years. If ancient texts held valuable information, would they ignore them? What if the Vimanas were not discovered but reverse engineered? If Vimanas were real, and if an ancient civilization had mastered flight, anti-gravity, and weapons of mass destruction, why do we have no clear record of them? Perhaps the answer is even more unsettling. Something or someone erased that knowledge. Hindu texts speak of cataclysmic wars between gods, battles that left entire civilizations in ruins. Could these be accounts of an ancient conflict that wiped out the builders of Vimanas? The Indus Valley civilization, one of the oldest known societies, collapsed suddenly. Could its knowledge have been deliberately buried? Many ancient sites show evidence of vitrification. Stone structures exposed to extreme heat, melted by forces we do not understand. Nuclear physicists have suggested that the level of heat required to create this effect is equivalent to an atomic explosion. What if humanity once had this technology and it led to its own destruction? The implications are terrifying. If history has already seen civilizations rise to great technological heights, only to collapse under the weight of their own power, what does that mean for us? And worse, what if some fragments of this knowledge survived? Not in the hands of ancient priests or lost scholars, but hidden within the world's most classified laboratories. In recent years, UFO sightings have surged. But what if not all of them are extraterrestrial? What if some are ours? The Tic Tac UFOs spotted by US Navy pilots defied the laws of physics, moving without visible propulsion and accelerating instantaneously. Eyewitness accounts from Area 51 claim that engineers worked on crafts unlike anything made by man. Germany's World War II research into the Diaglock, the bell, a secret project involving a spinning mercury plasma vortex, bears an eerie resemblance to Vimana propulsion theories. If Vimanas existed before, and if the knowledge was rediscovered, it would not be released to the public. It would be classified, tested, and weaponized. So, if you see something in the sky that does not move like a plane, does not sound like a jet, and does not obey the laws of physics, are you looking at something new, or something ancient, returned? Vimanas were not just stories. Their descriptions are too detailed, too widespread, and too aligned with emerging scientific discoveries to be ignored. If they existed once, they could exist again. If they were lost once, they could be lost again. And if they led to the destruction of those who first wielded them, then history has given us a warning. A warning we are about to ignore. Because whether we rebuild the Vimanas, or whether something else does, they will return. And when they do, we will finally understand why they were forgotten. Not because they were myths, but because they were too dangerous to remember.